Welcome to your Full Circle Friday. My name is Sara, a certified trauma recovery coach with Full Circle Wellspring. Trauma causes a disruption in our neural pathways and can halt survivors from staying connected to themselves, others, and the world around them. They can abandon or exile parts of themselves behind a wall of shame and fear. These episodes are dedicated toward understanding trauma and learning about outside resources, adjunctive services, recommendations, techniques, coping skills, and more to support and encourage the survivor on their journey back to their authentic selves. Let's get started. Disclaimer. This topic I'm sharing on today is a resource that I haven't personally used yet. This episode is based purely from the education I've received about this, as well as hearing feedback from people I know personally who have tried this. Self-help therapy books, as they're widely known, can be helpful tools for some survivors. Sometimes referred to as therapy workbooks or self-therapy, these are designed for people who are suffering from cognitive and behavioral disorders or tendencies. There's a plethora of these workbooks in the market over the last decade. These are almost always for specific topics: complex PTSD, OCD, somatic work, anxiety, reconnecting to the body, and more. Who are these workbooks good for? My personal understanding is that anyone can try this type of intervention, and I suppose there's no harm in trying, with the caveat being that you know the workbook may not be enough for your psychological situation. For some, this may be a good supplement in addition to regular psychiatric care, while some use it as a standalone or while they're waiting on a long waiting list for a trauma therapist. Still, those who are suicidal need immediate help from people who can stabilize them. And also, someone, in my opinion, with relational after effects of trauma need a relationship model like therapy or coaching. With that said, some of these workbooks are great for learning lots of coping mechanisms and provenly helpful modalities like CBT, DBT, guided visualizations, IFS, mindfulness, body awareness, self-inquiry, somatic experiencing, and other techniques. To try them would mean to do the reading and then follow guided exercises as you follow the self-therapy protocol given in each workbook. For some, these have been game changers. Others found it hard to keep themselves accountable to the work or found the self-exercises too difficult to do. I've read that some users find writing answers to tough questions to be more difficult than talking about your answers, while still others like it better. The workbooks are designed as a teaching model, which exercises are used to implement the lessons. Similar to any school workbook, these are almost always done sequentially and are a form of spiral learning as you solidify concepts from week to week. As a supplement to other courses that you're enrolled in or other therapies that you're involved with, I would assume you could jump to certain sections of the workbook that reinforce something you've been integrating outside of the workbook. For me, the most important thing to keep an eye out for on these workbooks is to do some research on the author. These should be well-accredited, trauma-trained authors. For many workbooks, there is a reading book that started it all. So perhaps read the author's book, maybe. So first, you want to make sure you agree with the material, and then that the book itself is full of the education that you need and the insights that your spirit is looking for. So then the workbook may be more effective. But if you aren't much for reading, just do a little research, at least on the author of the workbook, and make sure that your needs align with their methods. For each subject, there will be multiple workbooks, so finding ones that work best for you could mean the difference between it being useful to you and your specific trauma need versus having a bad experience or getting frustrated with the process. The biggest reason I'm interested in this topic is because there are some clients that I think might be good candidates for adding workbooks into our coaching practice. Ones that are designed for cognitive reframing and retraining, specifically, that would give them extra support throughout the week between sessions. So if you have any insight on this topic that you've personally used or any recommendations, I'd love to check them out so that I can personally vet a few workbooks myself. If you have any questions or need additional trauma-trained resources or support, as always, please reach out to connect with me or schedule a free consult today. I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you for joining me for today's episode of Trauma Survivorhood. This has been written and created by your host, Sara, a trauma recovery coach. For more info about me, trauma recovery resources, or to check out our support groups, classes, free survivor circles, private coaching, and more, visit www.fullcirclewellspring.com. Schedule a complimentary 20-minute discovery call to see if coaching is right for you. For the latest info on schedules and updates, follow us on Facebook at Full Circle Wellspring. All other media, social links, blogs, and show notes are posted in the episode guide below. Until next time, be well, survivors.